Exorcism horror isn't really my thing. It's a subgenre that's usually stuck in the same formula. A possessed person, a tortured priest, a few Latin chants, and a demon flying out the window. But Shadow of God, the new possession flick on Shudder, caught my eye because it dares to mess with that formula in a way I haven't seen before. And for the most part, I'm glad I gave it a shot.
How many times do you need to see something to believe it? I am still God's vessel. They're looking for us. Who?
We got someone down at the ranch you want to see again.
Grant me the resolve. Resist the evil that lays before me.
Identify its true nature. Do you know who I am?
Directed by Michael Peterson and starring Mark O'Brien and Jacqueline Byers, Shadow of God is a low-budget supernatural horror film that doesn't just question evil, it questions divinity itself. This movie dives headfirst into blasphemous territory, and while it might turn off more traditional horror fans or those sensitive to religious themes, I think it's doing something kind of fascinating, even if it doesn't always pull it off cleanly. Before we dive into what worked and what didn't, if you enjoy offbeat horror reviews like this one, go ahead and hit that like button. It really helps out. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I cover everything from indie horror to the latest genre releases every week. And if you want to support the channel even more, check out my Patreon. For just $1 a month, you can help keep these reviews coming. And for $5 a month, you can request a review of your own. All the details are in the description below. The story follows Mason Harper, a battle-worn exorcist who's grappling with guilt after a possession ritual goes wrong, leaving his fellow priest dead. Reeling from the tragedy, Mason returns to his rural hometown hoping to regroup, but peace is the last thing he finds. Instead, he discovers his long-deceased father has somehow come back, and he's possessed. But here's the twist. The entity inside him doesn't appear demonic. In fact, it seems holy, though its presence is no less terrifying. This so-called divine spirit radiates a righteous hatred of humanity, blurring the line between sacred and profane, and forcing Mason to question everything he's believed in. The biggest draw for me is the concept. I've seen a lot of possession stories, and very few dare to suggest that divinity itself could be horrifying. There's something unsettling about a holy force with no compassion, just cold judgment and disdain for humanity. It's a fresh angle in a genre that's often very paint by numbers. The movie doesn't always land the ideas cleanly, but the ambition is there, and I respect that. Mark O'Brien does a solid job anchoring the story. He brings enough weight to the role that you buy into Mason's inner turmoil. The emotional hook of a man facing his resurrected father, who may or may not be a vessel for God's wrath, is compelling, and I've got to give props to the practical effects. The movie's clearly working with limited resources, but when it leans into gore or makeup work, it actually delivers. It's not frequent, but when it shows up, it's effective and adds some grit to the atmosphere. They knew how to stretch a dollar in the effects department, at least on the practical side. Now, unfortunately, the CG work just doesn't hold up. The film clearly had big ideas for visualizing divine power and celestial horror, but the digital effects come off clunky and cheap. Some of the more abstract or surreal moments could have been genuinely haunting with better execution. But the low-budget visuals take the wind out of those scenes. The writing and performances also suffer in parts. There are moments where it feels like you're watching a network drama more than a grounded horror film, especially in the way some scenes are staged or delivered. The pacing in the first half is a bit rough too. I spent a good chunk of the early runtime confused about what exactly was happening, and not in a fun, mysterious way, more like the movie didn't communicate things clearly enough until it was too late. I think with a longer runtime and a tighter script, this could have worked a lot better. The characters needed more development, especially the supporting cast, and the plot itself could have used a few more passes to streamline the storytelling and clarify the stakes earlier on. Shadow of God isn't perfect. It's messy, undercooked in places, and hampered by budget limitations, but the ideas are there. The notion of a vengeful or indifferent holy presence turning the exorcism genre on its head, that's the kind of horror I'd love to see explored more. This film doesn't completely stick the landing, but it's trying something new, and I'll always give credit for that. If you're into religious horror with a provocative edge, this might be worth a watch, even if you come away more intrigued than impressed. And I'm going to be giving Shadow of God a 2.5 out of 5. subscribe. Have you seen Shadow of God yet? I'd love to know your thoughts, especially on the film's take on holiness as something terrifying. Drop a comment and let's talk. And if you liked this review, hit that like button, subscribe for more horror coverage, and tap the bell so you don't miss any uploads. If you want to support the channel even further, my Patreon is linked below. $1 a month helps a ton, and $5 lets you request your own review. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.